The Avengers. One of my favorite movies. I think we know this. I'm a big Marvel Cinematic Universe fan. Less so nowadays since I've got kids. It's just a lot harder to watch TV. But I love the Avengers. I love Marvel. And in the movie, it's, 13 years old now. So sorry if there are a little bit of spoilers. There's this moment in the movie where the heroes seem to get stuck. They've tried fighting the bad guy, and it hasn't worked their way, and they just don't know what to do. Until they get to the big motivational speech, right? In this case, it's Nick Fury comes in and reinvigorates them, and then they come together and they kick butt and they fight the bad guy and they win the day. And some of us might feel like the Avengers at the end, but I think often we might feel like the Avengers at that midpoint, where we feel like we want to do something, but we just don't know what or how. We think, wow, we've got a lot of learning and experience and skills and abilities, but we just can't do anything with it. It's hard to push back when we face oppression and boulders weighing us down and all these things. But I have some good, or at least reassuring news, which is yes, it can happen to us. And yes, it can happen to Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and Black Widow, but it also happened to Moses. This feeling of being stuck. So this week we celebrate Passover, right? Being free, freedom from Egypt and redemption and everything that comes with it. And there's a special reading for tomorrow that is the Passover story, basically. It's the Israelites have left and they get to the sea, which splits, and they make their way to freedom and they sing and all that. And there's a midrash on this reading, the special reading here, on this part of the Torah. The Israelites are at the sea, and the Egyptian army is behind them, and the sea is unsplit. It's just a sea in front of them. And they're all the emotions you can imagine. They're scared and horrified and don't know what to do, and they feel stuck and surrounded. And Moses decides to pray, and pray, and pray, and pray, and pray. And he just ends up in this long, fervent prayer that goes on and on. He just keeps praying, hoping something will happen, until God, a voice from heaven, speaks out and says, "Moses, my beloved, are on the verge of drowning in the sea, and you spin out lengthy prayers before me?" Moses asks, as many of us might do, "God, what else can I do?" Moses is exasperated. Even he feels stuck. Should we be killed by the Egyptians or drown in the sea? All he can do is what many of us do, thoughts and prayers. And that's when God says to him, "No, Moses, speak unto the children of Israel. Have them go forward. Lift up your rod." And well, we know the rest, right? God gives him those explicit instructions. Moses lifts his rod, the sea splits, the people make it through. And so we might all feel like Moses, especially right now. How do we push back against a government that's slashing jobs illegally? How do we find safety when many of the tactics used to combat anti-Semitism make us feel even less safe? How do we help innocent migrants and refugees who are being deported unlawfully? How do we fight back against authoritarianism and unconstitutional acts? And then, how do we do all of that while we also have a loved one who may be sick, or our job is on the line, or we're just up to the nose in children's extracurriculars, or we have a newborn at home? How do we do any of this? And so Moses shows us that sometimes each of us gets stuck. Each of us wonders, what else can I do? And I think he's showing us that that's normal, and that's okay. That's what it means to be human. We can't do it all. And then God shows us there is a way, right? When we're ready, when we have the right support systems in place, when we reach wit's end, whatever it might be, it's time to take up our rod. It's time to march through the sea, maybe, or march on the National Mall in protest, or to write to our legislators, maybe even just thanking Senator Van Hollen. Maybe it's helping out our refugees. I just had a great conversation today with Evelyn Gann's class. If you want to get involved with our refugee project, we need people to drive, to take people to dentists, things like that. Even if it's just a little bit, a simple act of lifting a stick can go a long way, and so can our deeds. That's what we learned during Passover. Once we were slaves, and now we are free, and now we do something with that freedom. None of us are an Avenger, I think. None of us is Moses, and we also might get tired and stuck and exasperated, and yet we too can lift our staff. We too, when ready, will step up, and then we too will cross the sea to freedom. Amen.
Amen.
Think of the